Today we're going to be looking at a Twiddle Muff. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel, and hi to my new subscribers. Welcome to Kazzalistic. I hope you'll enjoy the visit. So today we're doing something a little bit different. Today we're doing a crochet Twiddle Muff. I'm sure most of you are probably aware and have heard of them, but if you haven't heard of what Twiddle Muff before, Twiddle Muffs are something that's primarily used for people with dementia and Alzheimer's, because they have the need to fiddle, to do things with their hands, and so by making a Twiddle Muff it enables the person to have something to do with the hands, and it can relieve stress and anxiety in particular. For those of you that are new to the channel, you will know that I'm a carer, and that I also myself suffer from depression and anxiety, so I do understand the value of a Twiddle Muff from the anxiety point of view. So this is why I decided to make one. This is the first one I've made. Now I actually made this last year, and it's something I've been meaning to share on camera and I just haven't got round to. So I felt that this was an opportune time to do it. So this is the finished Twiddle Muff. Basically what it consists of, there's an inner part and an outer part. It's all worked in the round, it's all crocheted. It's all worked in the round, and then the two sections are put together, and then it's single crocheted around the top. That's US terms, or double crochets in UK terms. So basically with Twiddle Muffs, you put texture into it, so you can put textured stitches, buttons, ribbons, anything that's appropriate, but it must be machine washable, and obviously, you know, it's got to be well attached so that it can't be obviously pulled off and accidentally swallowed or anything like that. So I'm going to get a little bit closer so you can see. So this is my Twiddle Muff. Now I've used a variegated yarn for the main colours, which is through the outside body, and that is actually a Mariner Mermaid yarn, and it's called Beige Speckle. I haven't got the ball band anymore, but I have got another ball on the shelf. It's still in the plastic, but so I haven't got it to show on camera, but it's a beautiful variegated yarn. It has basically cream, pale blue, beige, and a little bit of flecks of slightly darker brown, and even little flecks of green, so you can get a rough idea there what the colours are like. So there's bits of green, bits of blue, and some slightly darker browns. So what I've done for this, the pattern I've used is called the Crocheted Twiddle Muff, and it is by, I think I found this through Facebook, so I'm not sure if it's on Ravelry. If it is, I will link it. It's by this lady here, which is, can't read back to front, Shirley MacDonald for Woolly Watsits. As you can see, it's a 2015 pattern. I found this through Facebook. I haven't actually checked to see if it's on Ravelry. If it is on Ravelry, I will include it. But you should be able to look it up with the name if not. But I will try and put a link down in the description for you. The pattern actually called for Aran weight yarn, which is like the American worsted number 4, I believe. Chips are out and about. She may make an appearance, she may not, so if you hear chirping, that's why. If you're new to the channel, I've got a cockatiel. Yes, so a call for an Aran weight yarn and an 8mm hook. I actually used, I think it was either a 5.5 or 6, a year ago, so I can't remember, but it was around about that mark. Stop. Be a good girl. Stop. So the only trouble with cockatiels being part of the parrot family, they like to play up when you're on camera. She's been a good girl all day. It's right till now. I have to tell her to stop. Come down. She's just looking at me like, not happening. Right, so I will carry on. Sorry about that. Most of the pattern consists of UK, I'm checking because it's in UK terms. I just want to make sure I get it the right round. So UK double crochets, half treble crochets and the bobble stitch, which in American terminology is single crochets, half double crochets and bobble stitch. So that's basically what it's consisted of. Now you can put the bobble stitches wherever you want, and obviously that creates texture, which is what I've done. So I've done them sort of every so many rows, even in the middle there, and then right the way down. I've literally just evenly spaced them. I just sort of did a rough workout, and it's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be all exact. It's just my OCD side of me coming out. In the middle, when I was doing the stitches, I've included another yarn, which I don't know how well that's coming out on camera, but there's another yarn here that stretches across, which I've put a button through as well. Hopefully you can just about see that there. There you go. And there's a button there, so they can pull the button through the loops without me having to worry about it coming unstitched. Now I've actually stitched that particular yarn in with the stitches as I was going along. Now that yarn was Red Heart Boutique Sachet Sparkle, and the colour is called Platinum. And this, for those of you that have been with me for a very, very, very long time, will remember I actually won this yarn from a fellow YouTuber called Queen's Yarn Boutique. She's based in America. She was primarily just a crochet channel, but she does more knitting and stuff now. She's a bit of both. But this was part of my prize. It wasn't the only yarn I got. In fact, I wasn't even expecting this yarn, but it took her a while to get the prize out, so this was kind of included as an apology. So it's one of these yarns where you obviously knit or crochet just down one side, and it makes one of the ruffle scarves like the one in the picture there. So what I did is I actually cut a length of that, and through those loops on either side I've literally just incorporated it through the stitches, so it's completely solid. And then on the back, even though it doesn't look terribly great, I have actually stitched where it was joined. I've actually sewn through them to make sure it's absolutely secure, so there's no way that's coming out. It can't be pulled out, and it's just to give it an extra texture, and with the button they can pull, you know, undo it and do it up again. I've added three other buttons, 2 white ones and a brown one. These are all buttons that I got from a charity shop, so you know they didn't cost very much. And then what I did was I've done just a chained loop, which I've added on after I've sewn the buttons on, just to make sure that they fit, so that you can, I'll try and do it one-handed, so there you go, so you can actually do the buttons up. Not easy to do one-handed. There, so like that. So again, it gives them the option to do it up or undo it, so again it's something else to fiddle with. The ribbons, I actually, these came, I'm a bit of a hoarder, and the ribbons actually came from, I don't know if you have it in America or anywhere else in the world, but in the UK, when we buy tops and t-shirts, we get little loops of ribbon that are for attaching to coat hangers. I couldn't think of the word then. Coat hangers, so that they hang properly when they're in the shop. Now me personally, when I buy my tops, they drive me crazy because they end up coming out through the side of your t-shirt. Looks like you can't dress yourself, and I just find them really irritating, so I always cut them out. But I always save them, because being a crafter, as I'm sure you're all the same, I always keep bits and bobs like that because you never know when they're going to come in handy. So this ribbon was actually from a top That's I had bought, oh, I don't know, eons ago. And it's from one loop from each shoulder. So again, I mean, that was basically freebie. So I've tied them in a triple knot and then through a stitch. So again, they shouldn't be able to come undone, and then just tied them in the bow. So again, the person can undo the bow and redo it up and fiddle and whatnot. I've then added a little pocket on there. So they could put a coin in there, or they can just fiddle with it, or they can even put like a little passport photo or something in there. And the yarn I've used for that pocket and for the inside is a Mariner yarn again. Those of you who have been with me for a while will know that Mariner is one of the yarns I use most, just because I am a carer, budgets are tight, and it's a very affordable yarn at £1 per 100 gram ball in the UK for a plain double knit. So the ball band's broken, sorry. So that's Mariner double knit, just in case you've never seen it before. And then the shade code is 047. And this is one of the newer codes, so you should be able to get this. Is a pale blue. Chip's been naughty again, sorry, excuse me 1 second. Stop. 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 She answers back. And trouble having parrots, they're very intelligent. Yes, so that's the yarn I've used. So for the inside, it's pretty, I've done, just for simplicity's sake, I did the inside plain. Some people do put texture on the inside as well. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It just depends on the individual that's receiving it, and of course when you're giving it away to charity you don't know. But the one thing I did do was I made a little pocket there, and all I did was just half double crocheted or half treble crocheted, depending on which country you're in, just a rectangular piece, and I stitched it on. Tied all my, you know, you must make sure all your ends are sewn in and locked in as well, which most of us know how to do, but if you're new to crochet, that is something you must do. Make sure your ends are locked in. Yeah, so I think it's actually come out quite pretty. Now the reason I went for this colour was because I didn't know if the recipient was going to be male or female. I didn't want to go for the obvious, you know, bog standard blue, bog standard pink, you know, because if you're elderly you like all sorts, you know, I like purple, I've got friends that like green, I've got friends that like black and all sorts of colours. So this colour, I just thought it would be good for somebody that perhaps had been a gardener, because you've got the sky blue for the sky, you've got the brown that could be the earth, you've got the little specks of green as well, and it just reminded me of a garden a little bit. So that's why I went for that colour, and I thought, well, it would be good for a man, even if it, you know, if it was a male recipient, it wouldn't be too girly that it couldn't be used by a man, but it's not so masculine that it couldn't be used by a woman. So that was the thinking behind it. So I'd love to know what you think. Do you think I've put enough fiddly bits on it? I was a bit worried about putting things like chains and things on, just because they can snap and stuff. So I've tried to go for things where I know they were sewn on securely and I didn't have to worry about, you know, anybody getting injured from it. So yeah, so that's the finished thing. And on the other side I've just left it plain, because I figure you're only going to play with one side. Well, that's how my brain works. You may disagree with me, hey, who knows. So I promised you in one, I think it was a couple of videos back, that I'd found a couple of new charities. So my plan is to send this Twiddle Muff off to a new charity that I found. Now I've actually found them through Facebook. I'm just looking on my tablet if I'm looking down, so I apologise. So the group is called, it is a closed group, so you will have to ask to join the group, but the group is called A Random Act of Kindness. I will link it down in the description for you. And I'm just to give you a rough idea, it says that it's a group of crafters that wish to share skills with people in need. Primarily they make hats for people going through chemotherapy, also create blankets, baby clothes and burial gowns for premature babies, hats, scarves and gloves for homeless people, teddies and toys for children's wards, and Twiddle Muffs, or Twiddle/sensory mitts they actually call it, for those suffering with dementia, blindness and anxiety. So this could end up possibly going to somebody that was on a mental health ward potentially for anxiety. It is something that happens. You can get admitted to hospital for anxiety. It is something that I've been in hospital for, so it's something that's very dear to my heart. I did have family members that had dementia as well, so either or, I don't mind where it goes. So the creator of the group is called Sarah Adams, and she's the one who sent them out to hospitals throughout the UK. So this is very much a UK based charity, but I hope if you're further afield that this will inspire you to perhaps try and find something that is obviously in your area. There are so many charities out there, aren't there? It does ask that chemo items and baby items be made in pastel and bright colours, and homeless items are made in darker colours. And they take knitted, crocheted or sewn, so if you do other crafts and you would find that useful, yeah, there you go, so you can do that. Sorry, my camera was flicking up something. I thought for a second it wasn't recording. We've been sat here for 15 minutes talking. You can also donate things. They have an Amazon wish list, and that's all linked within the group. So I'm going to link the group down below. I'm going to be contacting them for the address, and the Twiddle Muff will be going off to them. So that's a new charity, especially for those of you that are in the UK, which is half of my audience at the moment. But I'm sorry if there's any of you further afield. But don't forget that care homes or old age people's homes, or I don't know what you call them in other parts of the world, but we call them care homes for the elderly here. Mental health wards, anything, you know, blind charities, anything like that where you think potentially it might be useful. There's so many people in need, you know, we can always find someone to give them to. So that's where mine will be going, and I'll let you know if I get any feedback. I did get feedback off my premature octopus that I shared, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. My octopus failed. One of my decreases, I had a bit of a gap, and they felt stuffing could have potentially come out of it. It was teeny tiny, but obviously we're talking about teeny tiny people, so my face was stitched securely, so I was pleased about that, because that was one thing I thought it was going to fail on. So I was expecting a failure, because that's why they do the checks, is so that you know what you do wrong, so the next one you can obviously improve. The yarn I used was a double knit, and they do call for 4-ply, so obviously if you use the 4-ply then your decreases with holes would be a lot smaller than mine. And my tentacles measured too long, but she stretched them a lot longer, a lot harder than I did, and it was about 1 centimetre out. So it failed on that. So my octopus will be going off to an angel baby, which, to be quite honest, is fine by me. I don't get, you know, I'm not one of these crafters that gets the hump if it fails something. I'd rather it be safe for a child. And I kind of like the idea that it's going to comfort a family that's grieving, and obviously be with the child. So, so yeah, all in all, it did fail, but it was only a couple of minor things, and actually the thing I thought it was going to fail on didn't. So, you know, there's pluses to be taken from that. Yeah, so that's kind of the update. Life update. My mum's still struggling health-wise. I've been to walk 3 dogs today. Done a very small amount of gardening, and then the heavens open. So we're having funny weather at the UK at the minute. 1 minute it's blazing sunshine, the next it's like torrential downpour. So they can't seem to make its mind up. We've had a lot of rain this week. So, but other than that, yeah, all is okay. Had a nice day. I took my friend that I care for and her sister to the Abbey Gardens, which if you've never been to the town where I live, which is a place called Bury Sneblands in Suffolk, in the UK, we have a ruined abbey, and it was one of the main places for its time, where people would come and do pilgrimages to, and the Magna Carta was signed there, and all that kind of, I can't remember all the history. You know, you grow up with it and then you sort of switch it off a little bit. It's a bit like that. But we actually had a king, who was King Edmund, who actually resided in this area, in this town, hence why it's called Bury Sneblands. He was beheaded, and a wolf guarded his head while his people came to find his body. It's a very long, complicated story, but it's a very interesting one. The abbey became a ruin when Henry VIII did the desolation, is that the right word, of all the abbeys, destroyed all the abbeys anyway, and ours was one of them. So there are ruins there, and if you're local, some of the bits of the ruins, one of the ruins looks like a teapot. There's two other pillars that stand beside it, which would have obviously been pillars holding the roof and stuff, and they look like fingers, kind of like that. So, and there's another bit that looks like a duck head. So they're all very random. It's all kind of what, if you're local, you call things, isn't it? But it's in a beautiful park, where the grounds are very well kept, and there's a beautiful flower gardens, and there's a pond and a bowling alley. Not bowling, bowling green, not a bowling alley. And there's a rose garden, and there's some caged birds in one area. There's a river, and there's you can go feed the ducks. So it's a really lovely area. So we went for a little wander through there. My friend had to stop a lot, but thankfully there's a lot of benches, so she did quite well. And we had a really lovely day, and it was really peaceful, and we had an ice cream, and it was a really nice day. So we did something nice this week, so it's always nice to kind of report something positive. Yeah, and all the stuff that Jan has sent me for Woolly Hugs, I have posted off this week. There was a lot of parcels. So if you follow Woolly Hugs on Facebook, keep an eye out, because there will be a lot of Jan's stuff going up fairly soon, in the next couple of days, hopefully. If you don't know what Woolly's Hug, if you're new to the channel, you've never heard of Woolly Hugs is the main charity that I do most of my crafting for. I have a big pile of stuff that I need to send myself. Yeah, I'm just kind of organising myself before I send bits and bobs in, but I do have a big pile of stuff to send to them. And they do all sorts. They do blankets for people suffering with cancer. They do clothing for refugees. They make blankets for children that have come over to the UK that have suffered from the Chernobyl disaster. They accept toys for children in Belarus that don't have anything for Christmas. Oh, there's a huge. They have a very huge, wide range of charities, stuff that they do for charity. It's a charity itself, but they pass it on. You know, they partner with people and stuff. So if you are a crafter, they take knitted and crocheted, and pretty much anything that's crafted. So do check it out. I will link that down below, just in case you're new to the channel and never heard of it, and you're interested in doing charity crafting. That is something that I am very passionate about. Obviously, those of you who've been with me for a while will know, and you'll be going, oh no, not Woolly Hugs again. Sorry guys. Yeah. So I'm going to end here, because it's 7:15 at night, and the light's starting to get a bit dark, so I don't want it starting to get shadows, I've noticed. So before I completely lose the light, I'm going to say goodbye. No idea what the next video is going to be, because I'm completely disorganised at the moment. But we do have some yarn hauls and stuff. I've got a frog to come. I've almost finished my Down the Rabbit Hole shawl by Erin, which is Give Me Yarn 418 on YouTube. So I've got a few bits and bobs coming still. I just don't know which I'm doing next. And I just want to say, Sean, if you're watching, I have been thinking of you this week, and I hope you're okay. I do plan to message you a bit later, but I hope things have settled down, and her computer broke this week, so I doubt she's going to be doing videos in the short term. So just want to say I'm thinking of you, and I hope you get everything sorted out soon, and if you need me, you know where I am. Yeah, so enough of the personal messages, but it's nice to be able to do it when you can actually physically see somebody, isn't it? Yeah, so I hope you're all well, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that's given you a little bit of inspiration. So yeah, so, and you know what's coming for those of you that have been regulars. So remember, until next time, to stay well, happy crafting, and remember, until next time, to stay true to yourself. Bye.